What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at a pedal that really is a progression of a sound that I've loved for several years now. The original daily driver circuit kind of created its own slot on my board just with the dynamics that it had, along with some of the unique characteristics that really made it shine in a mix. So when I saw that they had a version with a boost added into that circuit, I knew I had to try it out, and what it wound up doing actually really surprised me. So today we'll run through how I usually set this pedal up, what I love using it for, and then we'll check out all the capabilities that it has running through the full range of gain, EQ, all of that stuff. For reference, I'm playing my Gretsch Power Jet with the original TV Jones pickups in it, running through my entire board into two Tonex 1s. Both of those are loaded up with captures from the Tone Shepherd. On the right, you're gonna hear his Prosonic capture. On the left, you're gonna hear his AC30. As always with these pedal demos, I'm not doing any EQing or compression to the audio other than just getting it up to level. I'm not adding any kind of post-processing or magic to it. What you guys are hearing is what I'm hearing. So without further ado, let's check out the Daily Driver Boost. Awesome, so let's go ahead and dive in. Again, I'm playing through my Gretsch Power Jet. Nothing else is on right now other than just some compression. I run that pretty light, so it's not really affecting the tone too much at all. So here's what we've got right now. All right, and let's see what we've got with the daily. Awesome, so I do run this last in my chain after the rest of my drive pedals. I really kind of treat it as a really open drive. If the sound driver is kind of the polisher at the beginning of my chain, the AP is kind of that really open, kind of spitty, splatty, that type of preamp if I want that sound. The Lightspeed is honestly just gonna be the most transparent thing I have, really. It's just kind of my more better pedal. If I want just a little bit more and I feel like I'm just upping the knob, the gain knob on the amp, that's what I'll throw on. The Wave Cannon is really the most different. That's kind of doing the most amount of gain, more of that true distortion tone. And then there's the Daily at the end, which is really giving me that nice kind of upper mid, high-end push. It can work on its own. It can kind of sweeten up some of the pedals before it, but I've really loved running it in that way. So there's a lot of controls to this one in particular with the boost added. So we're just gonna hit the main stuff and see what we've got. So let's go ahead and roll everything back to noon on the EQ, and we'll walk through the gain range first. Awesome, so this Daily Driver Boost actually does have, I think he calls it like a headroom mod that a lot of the original Daily Driver owners wanted, which is just gives a little bit more volume on tap instead of basically having to max out the pedal or run the volume really close to all the way up to get it where you need it. So I really enjoyed having a bit more volume on tap, even with the gain super low. So here's clean again. This pedal does fully attenuate your signal with the gain all the way down, so we'll find a spot with the gain pretty low where it starts to open up. Let's keep opening up that gain a little bit. Gain-wise, this is probably where I like to keep it. You can probably hear that there's a little bit of a low-end drop. At least that's what I feel. So to get it back to neutral on the low end, I probably wind up running it around closer to 2 or 3 o'clock. But let's just deal with the gain now. So gain-wise, I really like this structure. Adds kind of some intrigue to the notes and kind of those like those intervals going on. I don't want there to be a lot of that fizziness between the notes. Again, I'm kind of using this really just to open things up, but it does add a really nice character there. So let's open it up to about noon and see what we've got. Bring the volume back a little bit. Cool. This is kind of one of those pedals where if you truly put everything right at noon, it's going to sound amazing. That's like a perfect, really cool, like second stage gain where it's not really, it's keeping a lot of the characters of the amp, but it's just adding such a straightforward gain that it just sort of makes sense with the rest of the tone. Let's pause here and just throw some wet effects on what that might sound like. And at this level too, you can run your neck pickup and have no problem at all with clarity. And again, I'm kind of intentionally playing open strings, some stuff with a little bit of dissonance to really figure out how the character of the driver is behaving. And I really like, with a little bit more gain rolled in, how that's sitting, just giving a nice weight to the tone. Let's keep going on the gain range. So here's maybe 2 o'clock, and I'm going to take the wet effects back off. So even though that's a good amount of gain, it still doesn't feel like saturated to me. It feels super tight. It's not adding a ton of those like weird artifacts, but it's just adding a lot of nice harmonics. So let's throw some wet effects on that sound. And now you kind of start to see where this could literally be your only drive and it would sound amazing. So let's continue to open that up just a little bit more on the gain. So here would be maxed out with the dry or the wet effects off. cool. And all of a sudden you have a distortion pedal. So I really just love how versatile and flexible this pedal is. It just makes sense everywhere. I do like using it again, kind of as that refiner at the end of the chain, but it's really fun to know that maybe when I want a heavier tone that the wave cannon can't quite get, with that being like a naturally woollier tone, I can just open up the daily driver and it gets me that really crispy, almost like 70s, 80s style drive. So super fun. All right, so let's put the gain kind of where I would usually run it and work through the EQ settings. All right, so here's kind of my starting point. Let's go ahead and work with the low end first. All right, all the lows out. Definitely kind of hearing that mid-range honk without those lows. About 9 or 10 o'clock. Back up to noon. And this is around 2 or 3, probably where I would run it normally. Cool. And let's keep running that up. Maxed out now. And just for reference, let's hear that with the pedal off. So the cool thing with the bass maxed here is that it really, to my ear, just gives you a little bit more fullness. Wherever that low peak for the EQ is, it's not in a place where it's adding a lot of that like boomy nature. So you can actually take a single coil guitar and almost max out the bass, and it's really just going to round out that sound instead of kind of making it overly boomy. And I think that's just a super useful way to run these. Like even at the max settings on this EQ, it's not unusable, and it actually gets you a pretty cool sound. So let's pull that back to noon, and we'll look at the treble next. Here's treble all the way down. About 10 o'clock. Here we are at noon. About 2 o'clock. Really starting to hear that mid-range and upper mids coming out now. Let's go ahead and max this out. It'll be a little bit spiky, but just to see what the pedal does. So that kind of like kerrang or that ringing sound, running the treble this wide open really starts to bring that out. That's not something that I love to have too much of, but I do like a touch of it. And I feel like rolling the treble back to maybe noon or 1 o'clock brings enough of that out to add some character to the guitar without making it too ice picky or anything like that. You do have some high cut options as well. We can look at those really quickly. So I've got everything in kind of the most center position, which is going to allow all of the high end through. And then there's a setting that has a little bit less high end, and there's one that has, to my ear, significantly less. So let's run through those real quick. Here's the switch to the right. And just for reference, back to the middle again. And now the setting to the left. Let's compare that left one directly with the switch on the right. So a pretty significant change throughout those three positions. I like leaving it all the way open, just feels the most airy, but if I had a really bright guitar, having this at the end of the chain, it's really useful to be able to maybe run that switch to the left. The right switch rolls things off pretty significantly, but if I were running this a little bit more open with like a Tele or a Strat bridge pickup, I'd probably opt to switch that to the left and then adjust my high end with the treble knob from there, just to fine tune things without things getting too spiky. All right, let's take a quick look at the boost side. So if you're familiar with the Daily Driver normal pedal, this is kind of like a perfect progression from that. So let's do this just clean really quickly, and then we'll add in some wet effects to see how things interact with that. Here's just the boost side. So obviously that's just, to my ear, super, super clear, adding a lot of really cool weight to that tone. Let's throw on some wet effects and see how just that boost side can bring out some really cool qualities in the amp. All right, let's add the drive in. Currently the boost is sitting after the drive, so really just adding some level. So we'll go from clean to drive and then boosted. Cool, let's flip that order toggle around and see if that brings out any different qualities. Cool, so not a ton different. Some pedals are really obvious when the boost is either before or after the drive, but there's so much volume on tap that I noticed a little bit less volume when we switched the boost into the drive, and then a little bit more of a push into the amps when the boost was after the drive. So that's the Daily Driver Boost. I really love this pedal. It's been an incredible progression kind of on from the standard Daily Driver, one with the headroom adjustment or the headroom mod, giving just a little bit more volume on the drive side, and then having the boost after to use either on its own or with the pedal too, or the drive side too. It's just been incredibly versatile. But thanks so much for checking out this video. Again, we've got lots more videos on the way just like this one, so we'll see you in the next one.